And all the slides will be there we are, and all the slides will be shared as well. I do want to encourage you throughout the session to please use the Q&A function. So there's a box at the bottom of your screen. You can ask questions, and then throughout the session, we'll work with the student presenters to be able to respond to your questions. We've also kept the chat box open for everyone. So if you do want to share comments, links, if there's anything you're doing that's related or relevant to the work that students will be presenting, absolutely want to encourage you to use the chat box as well. All information from presenters will be captured, and we're going to be creating with our student staff an informal magazine, or otherwise known as a zine, as a legacy resource. And this resource will be shared widely so that we all remember the brilliant conversations that we're having in this session. We will aim to end at around 4:40 p.m. to ensure that we're accommodating all student presentations, and we'll also have a break about 25 minutes in. But I do also want to encourage you to absolutely take breaks when needed, and when you see fit. So just a bit of background. This is the first ever Responsible Futures Student Sustainability Showcase. The purpose of this showcase is to celebrate and showcase leadership from students from Responsible Futures institutions. So about a month ago, we asked students to submit an abstract on a topic that they might like to present to a broad global audience. And we selected students based on that topic, but also to ensure representation from a range of institutions, levels, disciplines, and countries. We have 15 students from 6 countries representing 10 institutions. So Responsible Futures is a global program that partners students with their institutions to embed sustainability in all learning. And the international part of the program is delivered in partnership with the International Association of Universities. More information on the program is available if you scan the QR code on the screen, and I'll also share details in the chat. So I'm so incredibly excited to hear from the students. These presentations really demonstrate the breadth of experiences that students have and the knowledge systems that they've engaged with in order to contribute to sustainability. So before I hand over to our chairs, I just want to extend a genuine and heartfelt thank you to all the students who've taken the time to be involved in this whole process. It's an honor to hear your story and to also to have you engage with this platform to tell your story. I also want to recognize that we have students that are joining us both early in the morning and late at night. So absolutely want to recognize that commitment and thank you for it. And then, of course, thank you to everyone who has come along to hear from these wonderful students. I know that you will leave feeling enlightened and inspired. So I'll stop sharing my screen and I will hand over to the chairs of the event, Professor Georgina Goff from the University of the West of England and Dr. Sandrine Simon, also from the University of the West of England. Thank you both.
Sonia, sorry, I might just say the chat, I think it's disabled for participants.
Okay, I'll open that up now.
The
Thanks,
Q&A is working though. I don't know which one you prefer people to use.
Both. I've opened the chat as well now.
Thank you very much, Sonia, and thank you very much to everyone at SOS UK for making this event a reality. So for a very, very brief bit of background, this was an idea that we at UWI had probably about 12 months ago, recognizing the potential for the Responsible Futures Global pilot to bring together colleagues, which is what it has done very successfully. And we just thought, wouldn't it be great if we could also capitalize on this international network to enable students to share their experiences with each other, to network, and for us to, as Sonia said, really highlight the breadth of activity that's going on across the world in relation to education for sustainable development. So although this is the first, it certainly hopefully will not be the last event like this, whether it's through Responsible Futures specifically or through as in conference format or potentially in other formats. We very much hope that this is the start of connections across the Responsible Futures institutions at student level to complement the staff level interactions that are going on, and the role of students' unions is absolutely critical here. And I know some of you here in this event today are representing your students' unions, and it is the partnerships that universities have with their and colleges with their students' unions that really makes this such a powerful vehicle for change, to ensure that students have opportunities to become activists, and I mean that in a very generic sense, to understand sustainability and to recognize the potential that they have as individuals to make change for sustainability. My role at the University of the West of England, as Sonia mentioned, is Professor of Education for Sustainable Development. It's an absolute privilege to have a job title like that. And it gives me amazing opportunities to work across my institution, across the sector, and in forums like this across the world for ESD. I'm very pleased to also have working with me Dina, so Dr. Sandrine Simon, double doctor, as we can actually now say. So yeah, she's been working with us at UE for 9 months or so now, and she's going to be co-chairing this afternoon with me. So I'll pass over to her for now. And it's really lovely to see you all here.
Thanks, Georgie. Yes, I'm very pleased. I've been very privileged to actually work with Georgie since September at the University of the West of England. And we are working on both ensuring that courses at UE include sustainability in a fair and practical way. And I also work on an online short course, which is available to all students, whatever their program is, whatever their course is, which is on climate education. And in both the masters that I'm working on, and Georgina as well, on sustainable development in practice and in climate education, we really focus on action and on how students can learn how to explore which type of actions exist around them, but also how they learn how to take action and comment on them and communicate and influence others. So you're really part of the club to that extent, and we're really proud of you for being active. And I'll be chairing the first session, which is very, very international. And Georgie will be helping with the rest of the afternoon. So I think we're going to hear Isabel right now, potentially, and then we'll move on to listen to you. Thank you all, and congratulations for your actions.
Yes, hello everyone. I'll take over from here very briefly for some welcoming words. So it's great to see everyone, to meet everyone. My name is Isabel Thoman. I work at the International Association for Universities, short the IAU, and we're very happy to be invited also to the Student Sustainability Showcase. We're based at UNESCO, so the United Nations organization in charge of also education and culture and science, and working very strongly on education for sustainable development, ESD, with our members who are higher education institutions, also some TVETs, some colleges. So we're a lot of partners, everything higher education related, more with the leadership that we work with. And that's, where this cooperation comes in, and the cooperation with SOS as well for the international program, International Responsible Futures program. That we've been working with, and it's been a really pleasure working with that. And there's, I think, 2 things that I wanted to stress just to open this meeting from a bit of a global perspective. So first of all is that higher education institutions are doing a lot already, and to acknowledge that as well for the climate, for the community, for very different activities in research and teaching and learning and community that all fall under this like umbrella of sustainable development and the different dimensions, let's say. Of course, climate is a very pressing one, but I just wanted to stress that there's a lot of different forms and ways that this engagement can look like at universities. And secondly, also like not just the diversity of the actions, but the diversity of the different institutions. So I think there's a lot of institutions in Europe and the global north that have quite established already the projects and that are using a certain terminology, like we are using ESD, SDGs, etc. But we've also made the experience with, especially with our members from the Global South, that there's a lot happening that's called then maybe community engagement, or a lot happening that is actually also on climate, on resilience, and projects related to the SDGs or ESD, and they just might not be labeled as such. But at the same time, they're really great learning opportunities as well for projects that are happening at institutions there. So yeah, I really look forward to just learning what is happening, and I encourage you to also see how does that resonate with your work at your institution, and how that can inspire future actions as well for sustainable development. So I think now, without further ado, I think I will give the floor back to Sandrine or Georgina and the students, of course. So yeah, thank you very much for having me.
Thank you, Isabel. Thank you very much. Well, we're going to start our session with 4 participants. And I'm delighted to introduce Comfort Onyaga, who is a master's student in food security at Murdoch University in Western Australia. Comfort is the president of the student club at Murdoch, leading on responsible futures, and she will discuss her work setting up this club. Thank you. So you've got after 5 minutes, I will give you a little you've got 2 minutes left. Yeah?
Okay.
Okay, great. There you go.
Sorry, you're sharing my screen, yeah? Are you sharing the slide or I'm
Yes,
supposed
we
to
are.
share?
Yes.
We can see Comfort.
Okay, yeah. All right. Thank you so much. Yeah, good evening, everyone from Australia. My name is Comfort Onyaga, and I'll be making a presentation today on leading sustainability change, empowering student-led initiative for responsible future at Murdoch University. Next slide. Next slide. Okay, I would like to acknowledge that Murdoch University is situated in the land of Wajuk Binjarak Nonga people. This is a tradition, and I would like to pay my respect to their enduring and dynamic culture and leadership of the Nonga elders, past and present. And Buja, the country on which Murdoch University is located, has for thousands of years been a place of learning. I am proud to continue this long-held tradition. Next slide, please. So who is Comfort Onyaga? Like I was rightly introduced, the president for student organizing for sustainability club Murdoch University, studying for a master of food security. And I'm in my 2nd year championing multi-sectorial sustainability and bridging the gap between theories and practice through strategic leadership and innovation, as I'll be showcasing today. Also, I'm the secretary of the Environment Committee, and by implication, I've been able to champion some activities in which I will be collaborating as the president of the Student Organizing for Sustainability in Murdoch University to implement on campus. Next slide, please. So becoming the president of the club for me was fueled by my passion and the urgent need to bridge the gap between theory and practice through student-led sustainability initiative in a fun way. I mean, a lot of people feel sustainability is left to industry, should be left to industry experts only, but I believe that students can champion this effort. Next slide. So to start with my background to becoming the president of Student Organizing for Sustainability, I participated in the SDG Challenge organized by my university in collaboration with other universities in Western Australia. And this is in line with the Responsible Future Criteria Action IN001 and IO003. If you're familiar with the Responsible Future Framework, you would see what it says. In terms of the outcome, after participating in the SDG Challenge, I was able to design a 20-year strategy to make the city of Fremantle a sustainable food hub in Western Australia, heard about the United Nations Association of Australia, WA, and became a member. And 3 months after, I became the president of the Environment Committee. And then fast forward September 2024, Sonia Press and the Sustainability Office co-hosted an event, a hybrid event on my campus, which I participated in and eventually emerged as the president of the club. Next slide. So the implication for becoming the Secretary of the Environment, by implication, becoming the Secretary of the Environment Committee has given me the opportunity to also collaborate with the United Nations Association as well as the Murdoch University Alumni Network to plan an event that will be coming up in May 2025 on the 8th at the Building 360, which is recognized globally as the world's best academic building. And the theme of that event is sustainable cities. This also aligns with the action criteria IN001 of the responsible future, and using the lens of the SDG, the 17 SDG goals. So it aligns with the SDG 17. Next slide, please. So as a club, we were also able to mobilize to elect a representative at the guild. Before now, we didn't have a representative, but eventually, after we formed the club in September, we were able to mobilize as a group to elect this representative. And this is in line with the SDG 5 framework and the Responsible Future Action Criteria, POC 002. Next slide.
2 minutes, Comfort, please.
So beyond that, Murdoch University is committed to mainstreaming sustainability, and they have the Student as Change Agent initiative, through which I have been able to secure funding to drive an initiative called Grow Your Food and Thrive. I've been able to secure funding to empower students with skills on how to grow their food while addressing food and nutrition security on campus. Next slide. The vice president, who is also studying in Murdoch, has also secured similar funding to address the issue of sustainable fashion on campus as well. Next slide. So in terms of reflection, one of the major challenges I've been facing is balancing academic leadership and my extracurriculum activities. But however, I've been able to overcome these challenges by seeking support from the Sustainability Office, ensuring that I don't burn out, and I have a structured time management plan, as you can see in front of on your screen. I have a very well-structured plan. I have a personal calendar and the academic calendar, making sure that I'm able to use that effectively, delegate responsibility, collaborating, leveraging resources, because I believe that if you want to go far, you go alone, and if you want to go fast, you move together in line with the Sustainable Development Goal 17. Thank you.
Thanks, Comfort. That was amazing. Gosh, what a rich presentation. Thank you. I think we're going to concentrate the questions for later altogether. And we're trying to move on to Ramtin, but Ramtin has got issues with the connection. Am I right, Sonia?
He's okay now. He's back. He's in the panel.
He's okay. Fantastic.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, so we're going to welcome Ramtin Mochahedi, who is a PhD student at Queen's University in Ontario, Canada. And he led on the first ever International Responsible Futures audit. So he will discuss this experience and the outcomes. Welcome. Ramtin, you can start whenever you want, and I will give you a little 2 minutes notice.
Actually, Sandrine, I think he's not able to join just yet. So we'll ask Rol-J to go ahead, and then we'll
okay.
Go back
Fine.
to Ramtin.
We're going to a completely different part of the world. Rol-J Williams, welcome. He's a medical student at the University of the West Indies in Trinidad and Tobago. Rol-J is part of the university's student leadership group, Students Today, Alumni Tomorrow, and was involved in developing the university's first ever sustainability policy as part of their Responsible Future work. Welcome. We're listening to you. Hi.
Thank you very much. So, hello everyone, my name is Rol-J Williams, and today I'll be presenting on our strategy, challenges, and campus-specific solutions to implement the One UE Responsible Futures program. And I'll be focusing specifically on my campus, the UE St. Augustine campus. Next slide, please. So throughout this presentation, I want everyone to remember this. This quote is actually attributable to me. Think of sustainability as everybody's business. Students, the majority being youth, are best positioned to respond to the threat of climate change. Allow them the space and opportunity to embed sustainability into your curriculum. Next slide, please. So about my journey to One UE Responsible Future program, my journey in sustainability started over 10 years ago when I was a youth ambassador to the Narrows Marine Managed Area Network in St. Kitts and Nevis, which is my home country. Then I went on to University of St. Andrews in Scotland, did a master in biochemistry, and I'm now a medical student where I was also elected president of UE Stat St. Augustine and became a collaborator on the One UE Responsible Futures program. Next slide, please. So I say all of this, and we do all of this in the context that we live in a region under threat. The Caribbean region is constantly under the threat of climate change. We get severe droughts, severe hurricanes as a result of this. And so that is why the thrust towards sustainability is quite important and personal for us as well. So next slide. So in terms of the major players, as I mentioned, I'm the president of UE STAT, which stands for Students Today, Alumni Tomorrow. And this ambassadorial corps is a leadership and service group founded by Celia Davidson Francis in 2006. That was 19 years ago. And he was selected to lead the sustainability thrust of the One UE Responsible Futures program because of our reputation nationally and regionally in climate change action and advocacy. And so these are just some pictures of some of our members and some of our executive members. And then, of course, our director, Celia Davidson Francis, on the right. Next slide, please. And so the program essentially, as many of you who are involved in Responsible Futures would know, aims to integrate sustainability and the SDGs into co-curricular activities, academics, research, waste management, procurement, infrastructure, community outreach in a whole institution-phased approach. And it is unique for us because our university has 5 campuses: Mona, St. Augustine, where I am at, Cave Hill, Global, which is online, and 5 islands spread across 17 countries. So we do have that peculiarity of different demographics and different situations to deal with. Next slide, please. And in terms of the phases, in September 2024, we started with the integration of sustainability and the SDGs into co-curricular clubs and societies at the UE. And then in phase 2, which was last month, we did the phased integration of sustainability and the SDGs into the academic curriculum as part of the Teach-In 2025. And then in 2026, we're hoping to see the official integration of the RFP into the 2027-2032 UE strategic plan. And then we'll have the start of implementation into infrastructure and facilities at the university. Next slide, please. In terms of our collaborators on this, USTAT presidents, USTAT vice presidents of sustainability and responsible futures. And I must plug here that we actually changed this portfolio to reflect our thrust to responsible futures. And so that shows the importance of this. And then we also collaborated with guild presidents who are ex officio STAT members. And of course, we did this with the leadership support from the One UE Responsible Futures program director, Mrs. Celia Davidson Francis. Next slide. And this is just a picture of some of the collaborators. I don't think you'll be able to miss me in the picture because I point that out. But next to me, we have Curtis Clennon, who's the president of the Mona USTAT Corps. In the middle, we have the vice chancellor of our university, Professor Sir Hilary Beckles. Next to him, we have our director, Mrs. Celia Davidson Francis, and then the president of the Cave Hill chapter, Shakim Paris. Next slide, please. And so in terms of my role in this, I coordinated USTAT's involvement on the St. Augustine campus, including the formation of a team for the audit, co-authored the student sustainability strategy, which involved the USTAT guild presidents and the One UE Responsible Futures program director, and presented it to the ICGC meeting at Mona in January 2025. ICGC is the Intercampus Guild Council, so that's all the guild councils coming together. And then we presented it to the Vice Chancellor, who ratified and signed the Student Sustainability Strategy also in January 2025. And then in a sort of more my student role, where I'm a medical student, I participated in sensitization sessions for the Teach-In 2025. And of course, linked the SDGs to my studies as a medical student and raised the importance of that. Next slide, please. In terms of challenges on reflection, one thing I'd say for the St. Augustine campus is there's diminished involvement of student government post-COVID. And that has also had ripple effects in terms of participation levels among the student body in extracurricular and co-curricular activities. And another ripple effect would be difficulty in obtaining buy-in from all student leaders. Student leaders are elected with their mandates. They have different ideas of what they want to accomplish and the things that they think would be important to them. And so you have to speak to all stakeholders to obtain buy-in from them. And of course, I mentioned previously that we have 5 campuses, 5 very different campuses. And so there is difficulty in tailoring the program to my specific campus, recognizing our differences in demographics, campus culture, etc. And then personal challenges, time commitment, burnout, leadership fatigue. These are all factors that impact every leader in anything that you do. Next slide, please. In terms of overcoming these challenges, I think I recognize the things that I did have control over. So as the president of UWISTAT, I definitely tried to elevate the presence of that variable. Of course, you're dealing with other student leaders, but you're in charge of this particular aspect of leadership. So I used that to try to ensure that we had a strong voice in creating and implementing the 1 Year Responsible Futures program. Forge partnerships with other stakeholders, alumni. That is part of our portfolio as UWISTAT. And so we definitely called on our alumni who are expert in so many different fields, other clubs, and even staff. And then within UWISTAT itself, where we have a Sustainability and Responsible Futures Committee, we delegated tasks to ensure that they are actively involved in the process of implementing this program. So next slide, please. In terms of personal development, the skills that I honed, oral and written communication, we had to write the strategy, we had to present the strategy, policy writing, project management, and networking. That was quite an important aspect of this. And in terms of knowledge, I learned so much about sustainability concepts and the SDGs and how they relate to different degree programs across the university. Next slide. In terms of recommendations and advice for students, if you want to get any student-led responsible futures or sustainability initiative at your university, take a proposal to your student government, your guild, your students association or union. Form a club or association. These are usually quite easy. You just need, I think some universities require 30 signatures to start a club. You could also partner with an existing one to begin or amplify climate advocacy on your campus. And you could also reach out to SOS UK for them to use official channels to begin the process of starting responsible futures at your university. Next slide, please. And in the beginning, I told you to remember a quote. And so this would be my advice to institutions. Think of sustainability as everybody's business. Students, the majority being youth, are best positioned to respond to the threat of climate change. Allow them the space and opportunity to embed sustainability into your curriculum. And
that's brilliant, Rol-J. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
So many questions to ask, but we'll keep that for later. Amazing. Thank you so much. I think this is a good example of, a presentation of so many achievements, and where there is fatigue, where there are challenges. I think these kind of events show you that we are together effectively, and we're supporting you even despite the distance. And I think your concluding slides express that really well. We're moving back to Ramtin, if I understand well, back to Canada. And we are going to listen to his experience with the first ever International Responsible Futures Audit. Welcome.
Thank you so much, Sandrine.
Yes, we can hear you. Perfect.
Perfect. Thank you. Great. Hi, good day, everyone. My name is Ramtin. I'm a PhD candidate at Queen's University in Canada. And today I'm presenting my presentation on one of my initiatives related to the sustainability, with the title of fostering sustainable change at Queen's, reflecting on leading responsible future audit and the potential of AI-driven energy saving solutions. Can we go to the next slide? Yeah, I would like to start with a quote with one of the co-founders of the Rocky Mountain Institute at Queen's University, which is the biggest sustainability initiatives and startup at Queen's, from Dr. Robbins. He says that the cheapest energy is the energy you don't use. That actually highlights the impact and the value of the saving energy. Next slide. I would like also to take a moment and introduce myself. As I mentioned, I'm a PhD candidate and at Queen's School of Computing and School of Medicine. My PhD research focus in medical AI, specializing in primary and secondary liver cancer research. And I have a strong background in AI and machine learning, which motivated me to build upon of this background towards sustainability initiatives. I have been a board recipient for several student leadership and academic initiatives, including contribution to some of the sustainability projects at Queen's and City of Kingston. I'm already a champion with the City of Kingston. We have we have several initiatives and projects in City of Kingston in terms of the promoting the plant-based diet up towards any sort of AI-driven projects in terms of the saving energies and also predicting the environmental factors. Also, I have been committed to education and sustainability through advocating myself to embedding sustainability in academic curricula and leveraging interdisciplinary collaboration to inspire tangible and tech-enabled progress. Next slide, please. I would like to highlight the impact of the why sustainability projects have been a challenge at Queen's University, and also why energy saving considered as one of the major issues at Queen's. So the energy gap identified at Queen's, they recently spent between 18 to $20 million a year on utilities. And it has been found that about 10 to 15% of that could be saved, about $3 million could be saved by optimizing the temperature and lighting at Queen's, which would be mostly related to the energy saving of the buildings. And by knowing this gap, I have been trying to address this gap by developing an AI-driven app which gathers and uses real-time data from buildings, including temperature and lighting. And then by applying and training models with respect to the the season of the year and or the month, it projects a predicted and an optimal temperature as well as lighting to each of the major buildings at Queen's to control and optimize the process. So in terms of the training the ML models or machine learning models, we have collected data, real-time data for every month, and also every past year's data that's collected through the past 5 years, and we could able to develop robust and also accurate AI-based models to kind of providing and predicting the optimal temperature and lighting for every buildings at Queen's. And next slide, please. Yes, so this is an overview and also of the interface of the application that has been developed. As you see here, we cover 8 major buildings at Queen's, which are mainly for the about 40,000 students that use these buildings every day. And through this app, which is connected to the buildings, and we are currently working on the foundation and infrastructure of the backend of the application. As we see, we can collect the real-time data, and by applying the AI-driven recommendation, which is a trained model, it has been designed in the way that it recommends the optimal temperature and lighting, percentage for every building and every hour or of the day in terms of the respect to the season and months of the year. And then by applying that, it comes to the idea that to save the the lighting and save the temperature, which are two major factors in terms of the saving energy. And this was even highlighted in one of my in my audit session that I had with the provost of the Queen's, Dr. Matthew Evans, and he was mentioning that as one of the major concerns for the Queens in terms of the saving energy. So we have developed this app and we have trained the model, we have tested the validation on validated data. And as I mentioned, we are working on the infrastructures of the how we could apply to the buildings. And we are working on a single building, which is Goodwin Hall at Queen's University, and we are hoping to expand it to the other buildings as well in the coming year. Next slide, please. So I would like to use the reflections on the what I, as one of the students, attended to the Responsible Future RF Sustainability Workshop, as well as with respect to my experience to the initiative that I have been working on. I would say through the workshop that I was attending, I noted issues like fragmented building data, limited resources that are available, and the need for a cohesive vision among facilities and sustainability officers and even student-based clubs. So by knowing this gap, I have been working on these initiatives, and also during the workshop, I have developed skills and knowledge such as strengthening my auditing techniques and how I could develop the effective communication with diverse universe audience, including the university administrators and officials, and how to develop the project management, how to propose my proposal to them and get funding from them in terms of the supporting my initiative.
Ramtin, thank you so much. I think we're going to move on to Olivia. Otherwise, we won't have time to respect the timing. Have you got one more slide or?
I have only one more slide.
Can you go very quickly?
Very quickly,
just
sure.
to make sure that Olivia can actually.
So through those gained skills, the recommendations that I could have for the institutes is that to develop a structured program to support such initiatives. And for students, I would say don't be afraid of starting small sustainability initiatives, and make sure that you have a communicative impact in terms of the highlighting the proposed idea and environmental benefits to gain the buy-in your impact and also your proposal to the officials. That's all from me. And next slide is also just for contacting me and through the LinkedIn or my website. Thank you very much for the opportunity, and looking forward to the others.
Excellent. Thank you. And now, Olivia, are you here? Sorry for leaving a little bit of time for you. She's a software development student at Murdoch College in Ontario, Canada. She led the college's first ever Responsible Future audit in October 2024, and she's going to tell us about her experience. Welcome.
Hello, everyone. So today is my honor to be in conversation with you about a superpower we all possess, but often undervalue, which is curiosity. So empowerment often doesn't begin with having all of the answers. It starts with asking the right questions. So my journey with sustainability and education began not with solutions, but with a relentless need to understand how systems work and how they can function better for all of us. Next slide, please. So the mindset of a process starting with the right questions comes from my parents, immigrants from Trinidad in England. They turned everyday moments that are often overlooked into lessons that have informed my overall worldview, from conversations at the dinner table to during walks back from after-school programs. They taught me to always ask, why is this thing or situation the way it is? That question became my compass in coding, in sustainability, and in challenging institutional norms. Next slide, please. So I'm Olivia Motley, a software development student at Murdoch College in Hamilton, Ontario. At home with friends and now in school, I practice and study tracing threads between systems, how technology, society, and sustainability all intersect with each other. When I started college, I expected to just focus on writing code and building applications, but I soon realized something very important, that bugs in software systems often resemble systemic issues in our society at large. That nugget of insight is what eventually led me to Responsible Futures. Next slide, please. Responsible Futures invited students from my college, Mohawk, into a constructive space to audit how sustainability is implemented at the college. From classrooms to cafeterias to curriculums, I joined a team of students and obtained training on how to assess reports, documents, and initiatives with a critical sustainability-oriented lens. Alongside my peers, we asked questions such as, where is sustainability currently thriving in our institution? Where is it an afterthought? And how do we measure real progress? Now, this process wasn't about criticism. It was about collaboration and improving the current system together by asking the right questions. We interviewed staff, dissected policies, and mapped opportunities for the future, not as outsiders, but as co-architects of our college's future. Next slide, please. Now, I will admit, I felt out of my depth at first. Being tasked with auditing your post-secondary institution is frankly intimidating. However, the biggest challenge came when my interview partner had stepped away and suddenly I was alone interviewing the president and vice president with my peers listening in. Having to navigate the sudden shift in responsibility, maintain composure despite the power dynamic at play, and still make sure that the interview went well was not listed on the sign-up sheet under tasks to be conducted. However, despite my voice shaking and time feeling fast and slow all at the same time, I discovered something powerful. Curiosity doesn't wait for confidence. It empowers you exactly when you need it. This sense of empowerment allowed me to ask questions that have been on my mind the most. Questions such as, how, as a vice president, does one balance different priorities without sacrificing the main project objective? In what ways do you, as a college president, not only create, but maintain an inclusive environment? And what advice can you give to students as academic leaders on how to practice self-care when working on such intensive, important sustainability initiatives? Next slide, please. It is only because of the well-constructed, focused, and inclusive environment that Responsible Futures and Mohawk College created during this student auditing initiative that I was able to lean into my curiosity and become empowered enough to not only believe that change is possible, but to know that my voice and perspective matters. So to students, your curiosity is your greatest natural resource. When you leverage it, you stop being passive consumers of education and become active change makers. Start with the questions that scare you a little to ask. Often that means you care a lot, and that's where real growth begins. To the institutions, trust students with the messy middle parts of change. We're not just future leaders, we're current partners who spot gaps you might miss. Create spaces where our curiosity can flourish beyond classrooms, into boardrooms, and into communities and beyond. Next slide. In conclusion, curiosity and empowerment are inseparable. We only become empowered to implement solutions when we first dare to ask difficult questions. This is a cycle of change. Curiosity sparks empowerment, and empowerment fuels action. My journey taught me that progress begins with someone brave enough to ask, what if, and committed enough to see it through. Thank you for your time today.
Excellent. Thank you, Olivia. That was fantastic.
No problem. Thank you.
Now we have a little bit of time to look at the Q&A together, and I think it would be good for the four of you to try to take it in turn to respond. So the first question from Jen. One question I have for everyone is, what was the catalyst that got you engaged in a sustainability agenda? At what age, and what role do you think universities and their students have in pushing the education for sustainability agenda beyond the university institutions? That's the first one. The second one, I'll read them because we don't have much time. Emily, hiya, I've always been interested, but I have really been doing more in my current and final year at uni. And I'm the part-time elected officer on environmental and sustainability for this academic year. I really think that throughout uni, there should be more information about sustainability, both and beyond uni. Damari. Also, I will be volunteering for women's education in Arusha, Tanzania, for 4 weeks in July, working towards SDG 4 and 5. During my time there, I will be hosting a shoemaking, sandal making course to contribute to the skills gap in Africa. If you would like to follow my journey, then reach out to me on my LinkedIn Damari Kota or Instagram. Look at the Q&A. And Hazel, Olivia, I'm really curious to know what the response was from your college leaders, really how to apply self-care when working on sustainability-related activity. Are you in a position to share their insights? Maybe, Olivia, we could start with you on this one.
For sure. So their answer was very interesting because as the vice president and president of the colleges, they often have final say, but they have to take in everybody's perspective. So when it came to self-care, they really put a lot of emphasis on decompression techniques. One in particular was just take a moment, go to the bathroom, even if you have to, and just take a big breath and breathe. Even though it can seem like a small action, before making big choices, you really need to zoom out and give yourself that space to, again, just breathe.
Would Confant Ramtin, Rol-J, would you like to address some of the Q&A questions? There's one more actually that I haven't read, I think.
Okay, can I go?
Sure, please do.
Okay, so about, I think there was a question about what was the catalyst?
Yes.
So for me, I would say that whenever I see a problem, I see an opportunity. My journey, in sustainability generally started right when I was doing my first degree. My first degree was in political science. I just, along the line came into the food security space where I'm working currently. So I began to understand the challenges that my country was going through from the lens of one who has been there, suffered the consequences of these challenges, and then decided to say, okay, you know what, the framework and the strategies to overcoming this underdevelopment challenges was too Eurocentric to be applicable to my context as an African child, because I'm originally from Nigeria. So I began to, take little action, because right from time, I believe that the little action, localized action, can contribute to, systemic or broader change. So those little action, like talking to other students during my undergraduate studies, talking to lecturers, taking the bull by the horn instead of waiting for some other person to come and address it, actually made me to start seeing possibilities, opportunities to address bigger challenges that I address today, within my university and outside my university communities. So I believe that taking ownership of this problem or solving this problem has actually gone a long way to helping me find my space within the sustainability ecosystem, even now during my postgraduate studies.
Yeah, sure. Rol-J, I bet you would concur with this.
Yes, definitely. I actually agree there. And I would say in my case, the major catalyst has just been where I live and where our university is based. We're in the Caribbean. And almost every year, people are, waiting with bated breath to hear of the next Category 5 hurricane. So we can't escape the impacts of climate change. And so we have to show the world what it is like to start sustainability initiatives. And the university I attend is the first university in the Caribbean to get the Responsible Futures accreditation. So we are using our example to show others what could be done. Because, for example, in the case of my campus, we have 15,000 students. So in any given day, you could have 15,000 students plus maybe 3,000 staff in one area. So that's a mini city. So if we could give them the example of what it is to have sustainability initiatives at work, then we could take that on a larger scale. So I think that's just been the catalyst for me getting into this and for the university.
And it's amazing how you manage to actually involve different types of stakeholders. And I think in your case, it's really interesting how students are kind of exposed to other types of stakeholders outside university because of this commonly shared problem, effectively, and risk and sense of urgency. That's really interesting. Ramtin, would you like to maybe address? There are some new questions as well coming.
Absolutely. I see a question, two questions from Ina, asking about the experience about how how receptive were university leadership management to the ideas and how we can look after of our own well-being. So from my experience, it was quite challenging to convince a university in terms of bureaucracy stuff, because in my case, for the app that I have been involved, that I need data, and to develop such an AI-driven app and accessing to those data, which already some of the stakeholder queens, they have the data. So and convincing the university officials was quite challenging. So I had decisions and provided strong proposals to clarify my initiative and how it could benefit the queens sustainability journey. So I think it was the most biggest challenge that I have faced up. And then after that, getting some funding, which I was able to get some internal funding, and plus working with some external stakeholders to gather fundings from City of Kingston. So I would say this was the challenging, but if you could communicate your idea in the most effective way, I would say in the most of the time they are willing to help you. And in terms of the look after of my own well-being, I personally try to connect with the like-minded people, with peers, with people who are in the same, who have the same ideas and mindset. And through this networking and also attending some of the activities, I would say this have been very helpful for me to look after of my own well-being and make sure that my motivation and encouragement is on point.
Yeah, thank you. We, unfortunately, I think we have very little time. We're supposed to go and stretch our legs. But if you don't want to stretch your legs, I invite you to actually look at the Q&A. There are good questions that you might really be keen to answer in your own time. And of course, the whole audience might want to ask other questions. We'll keep that for later. But let's stretch our legs and catch our breath and then come back, because we've got much more to share later. Thank you ever so much to the four of you. And that's been very, very inspiring. Have a nice break. Back in, well, a bit more than 5 minutes, but not much more. Cheers.
Which was 5 minutes from the start of our break. So as you've now seen from the first half of the session, the time goes very quickly. So we will carry on in the same manner as we've just been running with Dina. So I think, Kudakwashi, are you back and ready to go?
Yes.
Yes, great. Welcome. Okay, so just as it was previously, you've got 7 minutes to give your presentation, although you've got a 10-minute slot. But what we'll do is try and keep to sort of 7 to 8 minutes. That will allow. So is that you, Sonia?
Yes,
Oh,
I'm
someone in the
ready.
background. It's okay. So carry on, and keep encouraging people to use the chat. And if your question is for one of the speakers in particular, do note that in your question so that we can focus the responses. And also, if I could say to the speakers who aren't presenting, if there is a question directed to you, if you have the opportunity to respond in the Q&A function within Zoom, that will allow us to focus on the more generic questions when we get to the Q&A at the end of this session. So very pleased to welcome Kudakwashi from the Women's University in Africa. You're involved in a number of initiatives, I believe. So looking forward to hearing about your experience. And you're particularly here to present your work on bringing a youth-led approach to decolonizing education. So welcome, and over to you.
Okay, thank you very much for this opportunity. So my name is Musan Kodagwasha Brandon, and I'll be presenting on decolonizing education from a youth-led approach in Zimbabwe. Next slide, please. So, as Nelson Mandela once said, education is the most powerful weapon which you can use to change the world. So I believe that these words deeply resonate with me, and they capture the essence why education is a powerful pillar to individual and collective development. So as we gather here, I believe that we cannot decolonize education without first defining it. So the definition of decolonization of education, according to a Zimbabwean relevant context, this has shown over time that the education system in Zimbabwe is heavily influenced by colonial legacies, which often prioritizes the knowledge from the West and values of our own indigenous perspective. So this has created a disconnect between the lived experiences and the curriculum from institutions. So why the decolonization of education is important? So I believe that the current gap between the educational landscape and the lived realities is at stake. So an inclusive educational system would aim to empower students by validating their cultural identities and also improving critical thinking. But it has shown that the decolonized curriculum would also aim to improve transformation in contextually and relevant information. So why specifically a youth-led approach to decolonizing education in Zimbabwe? So as a young person, I believe that we all have a pivotal role to play. We are not just the future, we are the present, and our voices are essential in challenging the dominant narratives that shapes education. Next slide, please. Okay, so my advocacy and leadership journey. So my journey began when I was 15 years old as the chairperson for Chikomba Rural District Junior Council. And later on, when I was 17 years old, I then became a junior member of parliament for Chikomba West constituency. So in my roles, I spearheaded a mobile library which aimed to empower students from rural areas. And this has shown that it has improved the culture of reading amongst youth, as I believe that leaders are readers. And also, under creative advocacy, I have used the poetry to express my experiences, which has been life-changing to students. And also my poems have been captured under Moonstone Arts Poetry in the US and also in other publications from the human rights publications. Next slide, please. So these are my initiatives as a junior member of parliament, as a junior council. And next slide, please. So these are my initiatives under Vachicape in the 100 sailors in the publications. Next slide, please. Okay, so these are my engagements under a Youth Power Action class of 2022 under Amnesty International Zimbabwe, and I was also engaged with Slum to School Africa as a volunteer, and I was also involved with Rugari Community Relief Services, and my contributions have aimed to improve the equitable education, which has fueled my passion in our grassroots activism skills. Next slide, please. So these are the pictures for my initiative. Next slide. Okay, so this is Amnesty International and John Galt School Zimbabwe 2024 class. Next slide, please. So these are my contributions as the African Union Students Parliament member in Zimbabwe, and also my contributions as the Student Representative Council for Women's University in Africa, whereby we have reflected our diversified, unique cultural context in promoting an inclusive and diversified landscape. Next slide. So these are the reflections over time from challenges of limited resources, financial constraints, fear of change, to navigating challenges through collaboration and networking, grassroots engagement, policy advocacy and lobbying, workshops and discussions. So the skills that I developed in dealing with marginalized societies is that I gained critical thinking, in also involving the use of localized or homegrown talents and resources in pushing for education, and also cultural sensitivity in understanding the diverse environments on how they influence needs and perspectives. So I have also learned that overcoming fear, it requires patience and persistence, and also change is only possible to all those who believe and work together. Next slide, please. So these are the recommendations that I have for both institutions and students. Firstly, this spans from integration of our indigenous knowledge system in the curriculum, which reflects and fosters a culture of belonging and ownership, as well as validating identities and beliefs among students. And also for community-based education projects, I believe that we should bridge theory and practice. That is when we as students not only enhance our learning experiences, but we are empowered to participate in communities, fostering civic responsibility. In inclusivity in educational practices, I believe that we should address diverse learning needs and cultural backgrounds. And for recognizing participation, I believe that students should be rewarded in advocacy initiative, which can create strong role models and then creating a ripple effect. And for collaborative approach, I think that everyone should be involved, and also there should be intergenerational consensus. And lastly, I'm going to leave you with the wise words of Ronald Reagan. We can't help everyone, but everyone can help someone. So I highly encourage everyone to embrace the spirit of Ubuntu. I am because we are, so that we work collectively to decolonizing education. So I believe that just like the pieces on a puzzle, we all have a part to play in this ecosystem. Aluta continua. Thank you very much.
Thank you very, very much, Sony. I think is the way to refer to you. So thank you for that presentation. Good to see your contact details there. And I think if any of the speakers are happy to share their contact details in the Q&A so that people can follow up with you afterwards. I know some of the social media handles have been coming through in the chat as well. So please do make use of that. So any questions for Sony, please pop those in the Q&A, but we can come back to general questions at the end. So we're able to move on now to hear from Kisa and Theo from the University of Derby here in the UK. Thank you to both of you. So you helped to set up, or you were the leaders of the newly developed hiking society. And you're going to share your story about that and its connections to the ambitions of responsible futures. So thank you both very much for joining us. And over to you.
Thank you.
We can see your slides. So can you see your slides on the screen there?
Yes, but
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
Okay.
yeah, I think
Great.
so.
So just give a verbal instruction when you want this to be forwarded on.
Oh yeah, next slide, please. Next slide, please. Hello, my name's Kezia. I'm the president of the Hiking Society at Derby Uni. I met Theo at university. We both study environmental sustainability. We both have quite personal journeys with connection to the environment, so we both implement sustainability a lot into our personal lives. So I grew up watching nature documentaries and being very interested in conservation, and I started buying secondhand clothing when I was 14. After I studied my A-levels at sixth form.
Yeah, and I'm the vice president of the Hiking Society, Theo, and again, sustainability is something quite personal to me. So I grew up in rural Shropshire in England, and I've always been interested in kind of issues that surround water, around biodiversity, and we've both studied the same course, so that's how we knew each other and started the Hiking Society.
Yeah. Next slide, please. So we founded the society last April and we started it this September as we wanted to show students that there was an easy and accessible way to get out into the countryside, especially because Derby is so close to the Peak District. It literally takes like an hour on the bus to get out into the Peak District and a little bit longer if you want to get further like into the rural areas. And we both think that hiking is such a beautiful way to appreciate nature. And we worked with the union at the University of Derby to achieve our goals. So we had lots of meetings with them to choose routes and make sure that we had sustainable ways to access the Peak District. Next slide, please.
Yeah, so we both faced quite a number of challenges with doing this because we've never had experience with being committee on a society before this, so no prior experiences. And our main challenges were not knowing what to expect for the skill level of people in the society, unfamiliar with the area and routes to hike, not knowing how to plan the hike safely and responsibly, and learning how to do forms like risk assessments, find forms, learning to bear the responsibility of members, since that's obviously quite a big responsibility. We're responsible for everybody getting home safe and everything, dealing with general conflict within the society. And we overcame these issues through teamwork, communication with the student union, communication between us two and the other committee members, and the society members. We found feedback forms were probably the best way to work on what we wanted to improve on, and what other members wanted us to improve on. Being proactive was probably the most important skill. Learning to make decisions on the move, on the hikes. It makes it easier for us to all be happy on the hikes. But the challenges really helped us both develop communication, teamwork skills, conflict management, time management. And time management was a big thing, since we had to learn to balance the society work with our university work. It also helped us gain confidence quite a lot, and confidence with hiking, as well as just general people confidence skills. But most importantly, we've learned how to have hike. Yeah, so yeah.
Next slide, please. We believe that it's quite easy to access similar opportunities for students. It can be done by joining local walking groups. I know my local Facebook often is posting about local walking groups that they can like inquire about or email about, or just finding friends and encouraging them to hike with you. At university, you might have like a hiking or a rambling or walking group that you can join and give a go. If you're wanting to hike independently, you can download apps like All Trails or Komoot, because you have existing hiking routes on there. You can install apps like Gaia GPS and Organic Maps, because you can create your own routes on there. And finally, we just wanted to talk about the importance of nature connectedness to mental health. This handbook, which we've got on here, was done by the University of Derby. If you read it, you'll realize you can actually help yourself and others by growing closer to nature. So that was a really interesting read. Next slide, please. And finally, I just wanted to say thank you for listening. These are our LinkedIns, and the next couple of slides were some of the locations that we'd hiked, and we just wanted to show you guys, if you just wanted to flick through those.
I think those images are very helpful for people who are joining us from outside the UK who are not familiar with the UK. The Peak District is a national park, and these images here show the sort of landscapes, and so you can see why it was a great environment in which to start a hiking society. So thank you both for bringing those visual pictures of the Peak District to your presentation. So great, and we're well within time there. So thank you very much for that. So we're almost back on time actually. So if you keep an eye on the chat, and also obviously stick around, and we'll come back to you with some questions when the other speakers have presented. So thank you for that. We're now able to move on to Fatima. Fatima Anwar who's an architecture student, and also sharing the presentation is Sourav Barua, Dr. Sourav Barua, who is a postgraduate student in public health. Both of you are at the American International University in Bangladesh, in Dhaka, and you're going to speak, I think, half each, about 5 minutes each, on your work engaging communities in Korail, which is the largest informal health housing settlement in Dhaka, and then another bit of focus on community-driven sustainable housing and public health. So Fatima, are you going first?
Yeah.
Yes, okay, great.
Good evening, everyone from Bangladesh.
Great, that's great. Make
Okay,
us
so we are here to represent. So here we are here to represent American International University Bangladesh. And throughout the presentation, we will be focusing on students' community engagement initiatives. Along with me, there will be another presenter who is Dr. Sourav Barua. Next slide, please. So we have a very beautiful quotation here. Engagement is not a matter of charity or philanthropy. We stand to gain it from as much as we hope to deliver. Next slide. So talking about myself, I have completed both my secondary and higher secondary education from Pakistan International School, Taif, which is located in Saudi Arabia. Currently, I'm doing my Bachelor's of Architecture at American International University, Bangladesh. So as an architecture student, I have been involved with different architectural sustainable design competition and researches. And the key contribution of those researches and competition would be, how can we make the project more energy efficient? How can we use the eco-friendly materials? How can we implement the passive design strategies into our design, etc.? In this particular project, we have worked in renovating some of the local community households by giving out them some sort of housing solutions, which we will be discussing in our upcoming slides. Next slide. So we basically got to introduce with this particular project through our university under the initiative of MCO. So as an architecture student, while doing this particular project, we got to address with the real world urban challenges. We got to learn how to make the project more sustainable, whatever interventions we are doing, how to make them more cost efficient, etc. So the particular site we have chosen for this particular project is Corail, which is located in Dhaka, and it is one of the largest informal settlement in Dhaka. So the people who are living over there, they're facing different sort of problems like overcrowding, poor ventilation, lack of natural light, environmental vulnerabilities, etc. And while doing this particular project, we had to go through the site various times, and our major focus was to identify 4 different houses in 4 different directions and to remodel them, give them some sort of design solutions. So during this intervention process, as we have worked in 2 different group of architecture and group of MPH, from architecture department, we have 3 other members who are Muhammad Ishmam bin Zaman, Maimuna Ferdowsi, and Samia Zaman. Next slide, please. So while doing this intervention, the most common findings and the most major issues we got to identify were lack of natural ventilation in the houses, lack of natural lighting, flooding, etc. And the selected intervention area, we have focused the first 2 points. Our major concern was to enhance the natural light and ventilation within the indoor spaces of the houses. And the material we have chosen by keeping the concept of sustainability and affordability in our mind, where exhaust fan, we have used it to improve the airflow and indoor air quality. The second material was eucalyptus wood, which is a moisture resistant material, and it is one of the most cost efficient structural upgrade. The third material which we have used is fiberglass corrugated sheet. It not only allows the natural light, but also reduces the electricity use, making the project more sustainable. Next slide. So in this particular slide, we have given some sort of architectural drawing for the houses we have selected. We have the plans for house number 1 and house number 2. We have even produced the images of some of the indoor and outdoor situation just for you people to relate how are those people living over there. We have even shown the images of some of the damaged part, which later we have intervened through using different sort of design strategies. Next slide. Here we have the plans for house number 3, and here we have the plans for house number 3 and house number 4. Even here we did the same thing. We have provided the images of their indoor spaces and outdoor spaces. And the most common finding we got from all the 4 houses are that they don't have any sort of windows in their houses. So as they don't have any sort of windows, there is no scope of natural airflow. So as a big number of people living in each of the units, it rises the temperature, making the indoor spaces uncomfortable and busy at the same time for the people to stay there. Next slide. So we were talking about the materials we have used. We have shown the visual illustration of the material. We have the exhaust fan here. We have the wood. We have the fiberglass corrugated roofing sheets. Next slide. In this particular slide, we have shown the material evaluation we have used. We have shown how much sustainable those materials are, their strength. We have discussed about their pros and their cons. Next slide. So we were basically talking about the design solution. So if we look at the first house, in the first house, we have selected 2 different rooms. As I already told that they didn't have any sort of windows. So we have implemented windows for them by using the corrugated fiber sheet, and it ensured to produce maximum amount of lighting solutions in both the rooms. Along with the windows, we have provided them exhaust fans so that it can decrease the amount of heat flow inside. Moving on to the second house. In second house, we have incorporated lighting solution near this staircase area. We have provided them a skylight to ensure that they get the maximum amount of sunlight incorporating inside the house. Moreover, we have incorporated exhaust fan too, like the first house. Second slide. Next
Fatima,
slide,
are you nearly finished? Because we need to move on to your colleague.
Oh, yeah, I'm almost done.
Okay. You can
so
wrap up
even if you
quickly.
look at the third house and the fourth house, we have done the same thing. We have implemented windows, we have implemented skylights, and we have even given the mechanical vents. Next slide. So here we have shown the implementation process, the entire work process. Next slide. So here we get to see the images after the intervention process. Next slide. So during working with them, we got to face a few challenges. For example, like the people were not ready to, they were actually hesitating to allow us in their indoor spaces and to work with them because we were completely strangers to them. And while working, we had a fire outbreak there. So it actually caused delayed in our work. And we have even gained several skills, for example, community engagement, how to enhance our leadership quality, how to collaborate with other people, do the teamwork, how to manage up everything, problem solving, innovation ideas, etc. Okay, now I would like to call upon Shourabh Bora to please come on and proceed the presentation.
Okay. Thanks, Fatima, for your nice presentation. So here I am. I'm Dr. Shourabh. Good evening, everyone, and good evening from Bangladesh. So actually, currently I'm in my third semester in the Department of Public Health at American International University, Bangladesh. Besides being a doctor, I also hold another identity as a research tutor and the country coordinator at Africa Youth for Peace and Development. As you know, this platform actually boosts the sustainability, and I'm proud to share that I have been actively engaged in this field since my undergraduate days through organizations like Medicine Club and Dental Times. Even after my bachelor, I continued working to promote gender equality, good health, and well-being in collaboration with UNFPA and a YPAD. Currently, my role at a YPAD actually reflects my continued dedication to SDG Goal 4, which is quality education. Next slide, please. So let's now move to our project in Coral Slum, which is actually one of the Dhaka's largest slum areas, spanning 90 acres and home to over 50,000 people. Here, adolescents make up to 20% of the population, and they actually face major health and hygiene challenge due to overcrowding, poor sanitation, and limited health education. As MPH student, we actually address those issues using communication for development. In short, it's a C4D strategies. And here is me and my teammate, Dr. Sifat Jubaira, who actually helped me to prepare those slides. Thanks to her also. Next. Next, please. So here is our infographics. So you can see from awareness to action, we actually make those steps, and I will explain in those steps in our next slide. So move to the next slide. Now, let me walk you through our work from the beginning, which is actually the pre-test phase. During this phase, we assessed their baseline hygiene knowledge, stress management, and reproductive health awareness. And we found that they had good knowledge on good awareness on hygiene and substance avoidance, but we actually found major gaps in reproductive health, ethical decision making, and reliance on traditional healers. Next. Next, please. In the intervention phase, we used C4D strategies, which is communication for strategy development, by creating posters, leaflets, and Bangalore Facebook page named Torunalo. In English, it means that light for the youngsters, and we use this Facebook page to promote health awareness. We also engaged with the community by and with catching messages and placing those content in the local hotspots like schools, grocery stalls, etc. Next. And our final phase of our work is the post-test phase. After the intervention, we reassessed their knowledge using the same survey questionnaire. And after that, we found that their knowledge is actually improved, and especially in the reproductive health knowledge. Before, in the pre-test survey, some students don't know what is a reproductive system, but at the end, we found that their knowledge has actually improved. And during in our post survey, we actually faced some challenges like unexpected fire incident. That's why our project actually got delayed. Next. You can see some of our posters and leaflets here. Next. And it is our survey work, and the students are completing their form, and we are giving them some intervention. Next. You can see the Facebook page Torun Alo, and we are here to spread the awareness knowledge. Next. Now I'm going to talk about the challenges. Actually, there are many challenges we actually faced. When we started talking about menstrual health, everyone like bit of like they it's like the cultural taboo in there. Okay, many families also didn't have access to basic hygiene products, which made things harder. There are lots of misconceptions too. Most adolescents had little accurate knowledge about health, hygiene, and other things. And we overcame this by working with trusted teachers and by using fun, interactive methods like storytelling, visual aids, etc. So we learned how to engage sensitively with the community and become better communicators and leaders. And we actually have a good team from the architecture department and from the PH department. Next.
Is this your final? Yeah, wrap that
Yeah,
up.
this is our
Thank
final.
you.
Okay,
Thank you,
okay.
Shirav.
Okay. So how can other students like from the other parts of the world can unlock this type of opportunities? I recommend them to always consult with your faculty peers and always look up to the posters and advertise projects. And I also have some recommendation to the institutions by collaborating with different departments. And with that collaboration, we actually can't maintain the sustainability in our world. Okay. So next is. Thank you, everyone. Thank you as well for arranging this type of opportunities for everyone. Okay.
Thank you very much, Shirav and Fatima. Again, a different international context from what we've heard so far. So I'm sure there will be some questions for you in the chat or towards the end. If we can move on now to Molly Lester and Adam Sandy Chiari from De Montfort University here in the United Kingdom. So Molly is a law student and Adam is a master's student in energy engineering. And you're both working as sustainability interns at De Montfort University based in Leicester. And you're going to discuss your approach to your roles, coming at those roles from different disciplines. So Molly and Adam, thank you for joining us. Over to you.
Okay, hi everybody. As Georgina's just said, I'm Molly. I'm here with my colleague Adam, and we're both here to talk about our internships at De Montfort University. So next slide, please. So, yeah, next slide, please. So just a little bit about myself. I'm Molly. I'm undertaking a placement year in the sustainability team at De Montfort University. And outside of my degree, outside of my placement year, I'm doing a law degree. I'm specialising in human rights and social justice. So as what's probably discovered is that I've always enjoyed the social side of sustainability more, most focusing on like modern slavery and like the impact of the climate crisis on it. Sorry, next slide, please.
And a bit of myself. I initially started with an undergraduate degree in straight physics to further my mathematical background. For me, is either I wanted to go into either medical physics or sustainability at that point. However, when it came after my master's due to the COVID pandemic and various mitigating circumstances, I didn't manage to progress towards medical physics, which I really originally wanted to. But then I managed to find the energy engineering master's course that I'm doing currently at DMU, which I've loved it, and I'm about towards the end of it, just about to do my dissertation. But looking back on it, it's feel like it's been a perfect fit. During my master's, I still felt like I lacked the workplace experience. So when I tried to find part-time jobs, I came across the front-runner internships, which the university was running. I was lucky enough to secure the internship. It was ran from October of 2024 to March 2025. But it's been invaluable to me. It's taught me so many practical and transferable skills, and it's allowed me to be part of so many different sustainability projects. And working as part of the team, collaboratively, say with Molly looking for more of a social side of it, and with me for more of a mathematical side of it, we've been able to collaborate and work on some very successful projects. Next slide, please. So why is diversity important in these kind of fields? We came up with like 4 different ideas we think sums up quite well. From people with various different backgrounds, you can have a much greater breadth of ideas. So from a more general sustainability standpoint, that means you can have more successful sustainable solutions to any challenges you may face. But for us from a more individual standpoint, with the sustainability projects that we were able to run, it meant them being much more successful than they would have been if there were just one type of person doing it. This led to a much similarly, a collaboration between different people with these different backgrounds. Again, maintaining a higher quality of sustainability projects and enhances all aspects of teamwork. Such an event like this, where we've had people from many different backgrounds talking, and it's enhanced it much further.
And kind of building off of Adam's points there about ideas and collaboration, we're able to engage with more students because we have quite a large international student population at DMU. So we're able to engage with more international students who therefore engage with their people from their countries and their backgrounds. And also it's more fun. You know, Adam and I have had a great laugh putting this presentation together. We've had a great laugh working together. And it's having these different backgrounds, it's so interesting, and you learn so much about each other. So next slide, please. So in terms of who we worked with and what we've done so far, or have done in our internships, we've worked with external partners. So one of our main external partners is SOS UK, and we work with them through doing like the Hedgehog Friendly Campus Scheme, Fair Trade and Responsible Futures. But we've also worked with the Carbon Literacy Project by doing carbon literacy training with staff and students from across the university. Both Adam and I are now facilitators in carbon literacy, so we progressed throughout the stages, which is something we wouldn't have been able to have done if we hadn't done our internships. And it's all expanded our networks and our knowledge with quite a large institution in the UK.
And as well as external partners, we've also worked with some of the transnational education partnerships that DMU has through organising an International Women's Day event, which ran about the 5th of March. This allowed us to collaborate with multiple different people from different backgrounds, which led to a much more successful event than it would have been otherwise, because we had people from DMU Dubai, from China, from DMU London, from Denmark. So having all those different backgrounds and perspectives led to a much more successful event.
And we haven't just worked with external partners or T&E partners, we've also worked with internal partners within the university. So we've worked with our student union. The photo on the left on the screen is me at the Swap Shop event that I ran back in January. I did that in conjunction with the student union, who let me have the space, the music and the lighting, which you can see, which was very cool. But we've also worked internally with the Comms department. I created a video for COP29 talking about what it meant for the university. So it's helped us encourage our collaboration within the university. So next slide, please. So in terms of like what we reflected on, what we challenged, one thing that we've both had issues with is student engagement and trying to engage with students and to keep their engagement. It's something we've had issues with, but we've also had some real positive outcomes from student engagement, and a lot of students consistently getting interested and engaging with our opportunities and our activities.
Another one of the challenges which we faced mutually is communicating with these various different people from different backgrounds. So, for example, when we did the International Women's Day event, communicating with the transnational education partnerships, that was getting challenges based on the different time zones and the different schedules that people had and trying to get everyone on the same page.
And the one challenge we both have is presenting. We both don't really like doing it. We both find it hard. We both find it very intimidating. However,
because of all our fears, we've tried to practice it as much as possible. So hopefully one day, by continuing to practice it and presenting at events like this, we won't fear it as much. And it's something that I encourage anyone with a fear of presenting to not fully let it put you off, because it's an invaluable skill to have to be able to present at events like this. And it can also be incredibly rewarding skill as well.
So in terms of like some more personal challenges, I've been doing a lot of project management since starting my internship, and it's something that I haven't really done before, and it's something I found quite intimidating and scary, but it's something I've been able to work on and something I've been able to develop, and is now something that I'm quite proud of. And also, there's a lot of terminology, as we're all aware. It seems to be never ending. But it's something that through just sheer immersion in the sustainability culture is something that I've been able to grow and develop.
And some of the personal challenges that I've faced are mainly around imposter syndrome, nerves, and the confidence to trust my own work. This is because I've mainly been working a lot on the data side of things, and it kind of comes about, who am I? I'm just a student. I'm doing this data analysis and presenting it to people much higher up in the university than I am, and I need the confidence to trust my own work. But from working on those different projects, such as the working on the People on the Planet University League or the SOS UK skills survey data, and the successful outcomes that came from those activities, has helped to boost my confidence. Hopefully, the next time I'm exposed to some of these challenges, I don't feel as nervous when trusting my own work. Next slide, please.
So just a few pieces of recommendations and advice that we've got for various different people. One thing for institutions, if you have internships, hire your students. As we've explained, we are both from very different backgrounds, and we wouldn't have even come across each other if we hadn't both done these internships. But also, you're getting so many ideas and learning from so many different people with their backgrounds that it's just so much more important that you are able to engage with your student body like this.
And also with that, for students, go for these internships. No matter what you think about them, it could work out, and you also gain invaluable skills which will help you in your future career, and you also get to network with so many different people that you would not have normally spoken to.
And lastly, this goes for everybody. Make sure you network and talk to as many people as possible, because the more people you bring in, the more diverse your network is, and the more diverse your network is, the more people you can talk to, the more backgrounds that you can interact with, and it just in general creates a more happy culture and something that you can look back on in the future and go, actually, I did that. That's something I'm really proud of doing, like today. So thank you everybody for listening, and a massive thank you to everyone for taking part today.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you both very, very much. Good to see Carl's face at the top of the Christmas tree there. So that image the students had featured Dr. Carl Lesson, who's part of leading the sustainability team. I know you're in the chat here, Carl, so I'm sure you didn't pay the students to put your face on the top of a Christmas tree. Good to see. So thank you very much for that. Again, as Sonia said right at the beginning of this event, we deliberately were looking for presentations that would each bring something unique to the mix of presentations for the day. So some issues that came up there that we haven't heard from about today either. So thank you both very much. We're very slightly behind, but still within scope of finishing at 4:40 UK time, which is in 30 minutes. So we're going to move swiftly on to Jessica Bennett and William Hamarwan, both from the University at Manchester Metropolitan in Manchester, UK. Jessica is studying animal behaviour and conservation, and William is an architecture student, and you're going to also tag team presenting on your work or your experience of attending the Greater Manchester Sustainability Summit. So thank you, Jessica, and William, over to you.
I think that my presentation's first. I'm not sure, but we'll see whose slide
is like the slide. Yep, there you go.
Yes, it is.
Okay.
So my presentation, sharing the power with young innovators, leading the way to a greener future. Next slide, please. So who am I? My name's Jessica. I'm 20 from Greater Manchester, and I study animal behaviour and conservation at Manchester Metropolitan University. I'm also a board member of the Chester Zoo Youth Board and the Manchester Climate Change Youth Board, where we want to integrate youth activism within the climate action in Manchester. My interest in conservation really came from watching wildlife programs on TV, first being introduced to the term climate change and seeing the effects on the animals that I'd grown up loving. That's where my passion for education and engagement comes from, and especially utilising digital media and presenting, which I'll talk a bit about later on. Next slide, please.
So my main focus today that I'm sharing is the Green Careers Mission, which was hosted at Manchester Metropolitan University in November. It brought together the 5 Greater Manchester universities and local industries to develop ideas to tackle the 5 challenges linked from the Greater Manchester's Combined Authority 5-year environmental plan, which is to be net zero by 2038. Next slide, please. So my group's challenge was mitigating climate change with our challenge brief of reducing carbon emissions in student accommodation. We got placed into these working groups to research and develop a solution and a presentation to industry leaders within a specific deadline, which really improved our teamwork, time management and communication skills. Now, briefly about our solution, we came to creating an app. Now, this app has an energy use tracker, bin collection times, digital workshops and local volunteering projects about sustainability and with carbon reduction tips. And all this can earn points which is linked to university leaderboards and awards, which really does highlight the importance and the positives of utilising social media in youth climate action to make it accessible to all young people. Now, the workshop provided a space for us to network and gain feedback from industry professionals, which really improved our projects and also allowed us to explore different career paths we might not have known about. What made the event so special was that it was all about interdisciplinary courses and degrees, which gave different perspectives on our challenge brief and increased our project development time as we could assign different roles that suited for our specific skills. Next slide, please. So it's all about engaging young people. It's so valuable to involve the target market and target audience when making decisions that will directly affect them. As young people, we can share insight into our own experiences, time, finances, motivation, which these older generations might not actually consider from their own perspective. This will allow us to incorporate all values and perspectives so that reducing our personal carbon emissions is accessible, achievable, and has that long-term impact. Early involvement in decision-making supports the transition of young people growing into these job roles because there's already a strong knowledge and experience from mentorship in their early careers. This will prevent a barrier between the transition between them, and so we've got that consistent progression for climate action. Next slide, please. So part of my experience was that following the Green Careers Mission, I was asked to present the work produced and my personal ambitions for the environmental education via media at the Greater Manchester Green Summit, which was hosted by Andy Burnham, the Mayor of Greater Manchester. While surrounded by established companies and older professionals, it was empowering to advocate for the importance of young people being provided a space to collaborate and generate ideas. Now, creating programmes and events that are youth-led provides opportunities for collaboration between different generations and to ensure that underrepresented groups have a platform to voice their ideas, develop skills, and the resources that they may not otherwise have. This experience, I got to explore my love for presenting, as I do aspire to be a TV and live presenter in the environmental sector, to be able to inspire the next generations the same way that I was originally inspired. Next slide, please. So what's next? I really hope the Green Careers Mission is continued annually so that attendees can collaborate again and further progress on their ideas, but also join new attendees to the network of students involved. The Green Careers Mission was all about promoting that combining interdisciplinary students was a great example that every subject should include sustainability in their curriculum because every job is a green job. As part of a youth board member of the Manchester Climate Change Youth Board, I have also become a carbon literate with the Carbon Literacy Project, and that is all about teaching the education for communities of all ages, lifestyles, cultures, abilities to provide the knowledge and reskilling for the necessary new green economy so that nobody is left behind in these changes. Becoming a sustainable individual.
Towards the end now, Jessica. Yeah, perfect.
Becoming a more sustainable individual will be unique to everyone, so sharing these conversations is what will make the most accessible methods for us. Next slide, please. So my advice to other students is that if your academic institution doesn't provide these events that you want to attend, don't hesitate to request support to create your own, or just use your initiative, be confident and create your own. Use your voice for the subjects you're passionate about, be yourself and bring your own unique ideas into action. Small actions can snowball into significant change. So start within your own community and then allow it to grow. Make the most of every opportunity by not shying away from open reflection. Do not fear making mistakes, as it could be your first time presenting or networking, or you've done it for years. Everyone can continue to grow. The worst choice you can make is to not try. So utilize the mentors around you by asking for advice on what you did well, what you can improve on, then actively focus on those directions to build on your armory of skills. Next slide, please. So that's my presentation. It's all about sharing power with young innovators, as you have seen throughout this panel today, so we can make our way into a greener future together. I will put my contact in the chat, so you can contact me if there's anything that you would like me to go over, because it's obviously a very brief time. But thank you for your time today, and I look forward to hearing more about the incredible initiatives and that's going on and the evidence of young people being involved in climate action.
Great, thank you, Jessica. And now over to William.
Thank you. First off, I would like to say it is an honor to be able to present my stories in front of you today. And I will be presenting my sustainability plan at the Manchester Green Summit. Next slide, please. So I would like to start off with a quote, and it is about the greatest threat to our planet is the belief that someone else will save it by Robert Swan. This quote resonates deeply with my belief that students have the power to enact change. We cannot wait around for someone else to think of solutions to achieve sustainability goals. We need to be proactive and be involved as much as possible in the process of making these decisions. Next slide, please. So let me introduce myself. My name is William Himawan, and I am studying at the Manchester School of Architecture. And I've recently completed my first year of studies here at the university. And I've had so much experience with sustainability throughout this first year, starting with learning about sustainability issues in architecture and the built environment, and then being involved in university-led events such as the Green Careers missions, and eventually being able to present my plans at the Manchester Green Summit. So next slide, please. So I have several motivations for being involved in these events. I wanted to delve deep into seeing what sustainability actually means in the field of architecture and the built environment, because obviously it has a major impact on climate change, and I wanted to enhance my skills in green architecture. I also wanted to have the opportunity to collaborate across disciplines. Of course, in architecture, we don't only work with architects, we work with engineers, with policymakers, with clients. And I wanted to gain as much real life experience as possible, collaborating with multidisciplinary students as possible. And I got that opportunity at the Green Careers missions. It's a collaboration between universities in Manchester, where we got to develop plans to address sustainability issues. So next slide, please. I received the challenge of improving Manchester's air quality in collaboration with the technology firm Siemens, and we developed a plan that implements their technologies such as the city air management systems, Cimero, and fine dust sensors. And we developed a plan to implement those technologies and reduced ticket prices on public transport in Manchester during days of high pollutions. We also advocated for the installation of air purification modules on building facades to absorb pollutions in the air to become non-lethal. And this plan has really developed my communication, my collaboration skills, because I got to work with students who were studying in management, in neuroscience, in engineering. No other place can architecture students collaborate with these professionals, with these education experts, other than these events. So it was an incredible opportunity for me to network and grow as a person and as an architecture student. Next slide, please. And I have another incredible opportunity to present my plans at the Manchester Green Summit. It was hosted by the Mayor of Greater Manchester, Andy Burnham, and I got to present the sustainability plans in front of policy makers, in front of industry experts, in front of other professionals. I got to expand my network. I developed my communication skills. I built my confidence in presenting my plans to other people, because when I started this journey, I was really nervous, seeing that I've had little to no experience in sustainability events such as this. So I believe that this event really is beneficial for every student who are involved in these types of events. So next, please. Yeah. So what are my advice to other students who wants to follow in this type of path? Well, stay informed about sustainability events. Every university has one. I'm sure that you can simply search up in Google, or you can talk to a university staff member to see what type of events are going on. You should collaborate across disciplines. You should seek mentorships from experts. You need to be proactive in participating in competitions, pitching ideas, and starting your own initiative to stand out. This ties back to the quote I presented at the beginning of my presentation. The greatest threat to our planet is the belief that someone else will save it. We need to be proactive. We need to be bold. We need to learn beyond the classrooms. We need to stay passionate about sustainability and other fields that we are interested in. And by taking these steps, we can open doors to exciting opportunities and contribute to more sustainability futures. And for institutions, I would encourage them to push for collaborations with other disciplines, to create platforms for students to present their works to professionals, such as RISE here at Manchester Metropolitan University, build partnerships with external organizations, and organize networking events to help students connect with industries. Next slide, please. So thank you for listening.
Perfect. Thank you very, very much, William. Lots of information, and clearly that Manchester Summit is a great opportunity for students from that city to what looks like a huge audience there. So yeah, really great opportunity, and interesting to hear yet a different type of initiative, and for you both to be proactive in engaging with that. So we're down to our final presentation. We will give that full time, which will not leave us long, but I can see that there's been some quite active engagement in the Q&A. So I would encourage you, please, if you've got any questions, to be posting those from now, because we can capture those and think about how to respond to them. If speakers, as I said before, could have a quick look and see if there's anything specific to them that's come through, and respond in the chat, just in case we can't fit them all in the last 5 minutes. But for now, over to Layla Lako and Jethro Tyman from the Open University Student Association. So the Open University, for overseas colleagues who might not be aware, is an online university in the UK, and Layla and Jethro are here to discuss your work in setting up Have Your Say Day, an event which helps OU students to learn about and feedback on sustainability. So thank you both very much, and over to you.
Thanks, Georgina. Yeah, so I'm Jethro and my colleague is Layla, and we're just going to talk about how we've been trying to engage distance learning students in sustainability, which can be a bit of a challenge because we do have a glorious campus, but very few people actually are ever on it. So next slide, please. So we're going to be covering a few things, just a little brief thing about who OU students are typically, student voice and sustainability, our success with hedgehog-friendly campus, and then nature, biodiversity, in collaboration with our colleagues at the university itself. Next slide. So yeah, I am Jethro Tyman, in case you didn't catch that, and both myself and Layla are studying combined STEM at the OU. When I'm not doing that, I work at an impact hub here in The Hague, and I run FarmBiz Africa, which is a project I started when I was 14, initially basically just as a blog, just giving information to smallholder farmers in Africa about regenerative agriculture, how to increase their yields, increase their incomes, this sort of thing. And it kind of outgrew me. It now reaches close to 4 million people a month. And so we've had to, in the last year, turn it into a scalable, sustainable business, which gives not just farmers access to the world, but the world access to farmers. And this was kind of like most of my world. And so I had a bit of serendipity in that just as I was going, oh, I'm going to have to figure out how to explain what I do to people, I got the brilliant opportunity to become the sustainability rep for the OU and learn by doing, which is very much my thing because I have a lot of different interests in AI, biology, politics, and all sorts of design of weird things like robots. And the role has not disappointed because I have honestly learned more about how the West kind of views the impact of climate change on the global South, and more about what sustainability actually means than I could have ever expected in this role. So I would definitely recommend to anyone who can to get involved with their Students Association in this capacity. Next slide.
Hi, I'm Layla Lacko. So I'm also studying combined STEM, and the ability to study multiple subjects on that pathway has led me to specializing in interdisciplinary environmental studies and really broaden my horizons in terms of sustainability. So I started as a volunteer on the association's Environment and Sustainability Working Group. And then almost a year ago to the day, there was the opportunity to chair the Environmental Sustainability Society, which had been on a bit of a hiatus. So it's been really interesting working on reviving that society, as well as working with the association to engage students. Next slide. So setting the scene a bit more about who OU students are. Next slide. So we're one of the largest universities in the UK, about 170,000 students. As was mentioned before, we're a distance learning university, so most of our students are studying completely online. We do have a campus, but as Jethro said, not many people are attending regularly. Next slide. So a lot of OU students have other caring responsibilities or employment. We have a wide variety of ages. We also have a huge variety in where students are based, not just around the UK, but all over the world. Next slide. So the OU Students Association is our students' union run by students with lots of volunteer positions, all students at all levels. Sustainability has been a key focus of the association in the last 3 years or so, with the founding of the Environment and Sustainability Working Group, where staff and students work together to improve sustainability at the association. Next slide. So there are some challenges in engaging with OU students, with people needing to engage online mostly, but also having to take into account that a lot of OU students are very busy, not just with their studies, but with everything else they've got going on in their lives. Next slide. So student voice. Next slide. So Have Your Say Day is an annual event run by the OU where they have multiple sessions run via Microsoft Teams where they get student views on a variety of topics. We had an opportunity to run a sustainability related session last year. So what we were thinking is we wanted to know how a broad spectrum of students define sustainability and where they've seen it integrated into their OU modules. Next slide. So again, we were thinking about the challenges of engaging with students online when we were planning this session. So we decided for the first time to have Mentimeter for the whole session, which for those who don't know, it's an application which you can integrate into a PowerPoint slide. Students scan a QR code and can then submit answers to various questions. Next slide. So here are some pictures of the Mentimeter from that session. We started out with some quite closed questions, so word clouds where students just have to put one word in. We had some diagrams where students would tick how they saw themselves on a certain diagram. Then we got into a bit more complicated questions by asking students to rank how sustainability should be integrated into their module. And then we ended with an open question to get students' views. This worked really well, and we've actually had some feedback today from someone who attended that it really helped ease them in to start with the sort of more simple questions. Next slide, and I think over to Jethro.
Yeah, thanks, Layla. So We have had quite a lot of success with hedgehog-friendly campus because the university's had a bit of an up and down journey with it, but students have been really engaging with it as we start to make all sorts of cute little videos and pictures and campaigns on social media. So if you go to the next slide, it's been really useful because, again, we've got this very spread out student base, which both has advantages and disadvantages. So basically, the journey with the OU has been a bit up and down because we just got reaccredited again this last year. But we have been involved with it for several years, staff members and students both. Both on campus, because we have this lovely green campus with staff members taking part in various things like litter pickups and that sort of stuff, and making the campus hedgehog friendly. But also we've created a working group for students to get involved, and that's led to all sorts of different things. Next slide, please. So that's led to getting our hedgehog ambassadors, which is something that we've just begun doing at the start of this year. We've already got 12, and myself and Leda are both involved. Our student hedgehog ambassadors are out in their own communities doing stuff like teaching them about all the stuff that they're learning from Hedgehog Friendly Campus, about how to take care of hedgehogs near them, how to make their gardens hedgehog friendly. But they're also getting involved by writing articles for our student magazine, The Hoot, and writing copy for our social media. And we've had lots of our volunteers filming videos and doing all sorts of cute stuff. And that is one advantage of our wide student base, in that we've got students not just in the UK, but across the world going out and getting involved in this. So when we did our big hog-friendly litter pick campaign, we actually had students from all over the place sending in pictures of them picking up stuff. And I mean, next slide, and you'll get some nice pictures of not just students who have sent in pictures of their litter picks, but you've also got some staff members at a hedgehog friendly campus booth we had at one of the Welcome Week fairs. And we keep making these crocheted little hedgehogs that I always manage to get sent a couple of after each event. So I'm progressively growing a hedgehog family. And yeah, we've just had an amazing amount of engagement with this. Next slide.
Just about wrapping up, Jethro.
Yeah, I'll race through.
Brilliant.
So just some things that we have on campus: logs for life for insects, a video I did here when I was on campus, just showing some of our collaboration with the estates team, putting in hedgehog houses around campus, which doesn't seem to be playing, but there's a thumbs up, so enjoy that. And an insect motel. Then yeah, just collaboration we've done with our OU colleagues. Next slide. A few different ways we've done this. Next slide. I'll race through. So basically, I've said collaborating with estates. We've collaborated a lot with them, and they've even sponsored our hedgehog friendly campus accreditation, and they've come and joined some sessions. And the session we ran where the head of estates talked about nature and biodiversity on campus was one of the highest attended sessions we had during Welcome Week. And we had both in person a stall and that session. And I think I think I speak for both Layla and I when I say that this experience has been very good in terms of being able to present directly to students online. I'm a bit of an introvert, and it's an interesting one speaking to people online like this. It wasn't something I had any experience with. And now in the past years, I've had to start actually going to events and speaking to people in person and stuff. Having this kind of an experience in practice has been very helpful.
Have you got a final point, Jethro, just so that we can...
That's it, really. Just...
Yeah, that was it. That was your final point. Great. Okay. Excellent.
And yeah, just some pictures there. I mean, you can just end it on the last one, which was just some of the social media and the booth that we had, and a picture of our campus from above, which you can see, you know, there's a benefit to not having to actually be near any sort of public transport or city or anything, because no one actually goes to your campus, and that's that it's surrounded by greenery. So it really has value, the work we do in preserving the campus itself.
I think not having to deal with transport issues is something that many universities, certainly in the UK and beyond, I think probably somewhat envious of. So thank you very much, not just to the pair of you, but to everybody this afternoon, before the break and since the break. It has absolutely delivered the richness of examples of student enthusiasm and practice that we hoped that it would. And I think some of the comments that have come through in the Q&A really evidence everybody's appreciation for that. So thank you to all of you as presenters. I am conscious that we are very tight for time. What I wanted to just possibly ask, because I think it's relevant to all students who've presented this afternoon, is whether you would be able to identify, and it might be easiest to pop this into, I'm gonna type this question into the queue. Actually, can I actually post a question? That's an interesting one. Maybe someone from SOS can pop this as a question so that the speakers can provide a textual response. But what is your, because communication came through as a really strong theme in everybody's presentations, understanding how to firstly identify who your key audiences are, and then to know how to reach them effectively, because that's ultimately what communication is. And a number of you mentioned tapping into people's personal motivations or thinking about mode of communication. So I just wondered if you could each share a top tip for other students who might be interested in getting started. So SOS, is there a way that you can post that question for the speakers to respond to? Oliver, is that technically possible?
Yeah, I'm just asking my colleague who's not on the panelist side to put that into the chat. So hopefully that should be there in a second. Thank you.
Well, I'm not sure that they can post in the chat. It would have to be in the Q&A.
Sorry, I mean in the Q&A.
Yeah, great. Okay,
yeah.
Perfect. Has anybody got an immediate verbal answer that they'd like to share from the panelists since the break? Top communication tip?
I would say a top communication tip that I use often is not only having an open mind, but also just an open heart. A lot of people are a little bit shy to engage in conversations, so just keeping that in mind, that you know, approach them like how a journalist would.
Okay, yeah, great. Anyone else? Thank you for that, Olivia.
I was just going to say that a very accessible one is definitely through social media. I think social media used in a safe way can be a really good tool to contact people, whether that's somebody that's working for an organization that aligns with your interests, or whether somebody's studying a sustainability themed degree. It's just about asking them maybe what their day-to-day role involves, but also their pathway to it. Because I think when you study in sustainability or work in sustainability, everyone's pathway can be so unique. There's no one way into the sector, and so I think the more people you ask about their direct path, you can kind of align it with your own skills and passion, and be able to make something tangible with your skill set. Because if everybody goes into sustainability with the exact same ability and the exact same goal, we're going to get nowhere, because we're all going to be ticking the same box. So I think that the best thing is to advocate for the fact that, like we all have today, it's coming at it from completely different backgrounds, completely different ways of working, completely different cultures, environments, ways of thinking. And I think that at the end of it is what's going to create the most long-term impact that can involve everyone and make it the most accessible for everyone to communicate.
Great, thanks, Jessica. And I did see that Editor managed to put that in the chat, and Molly has provided one response. And I think you mentioned there, Jessica, and it came up by others, is about confidence, practicing the questions that you want to ask, practicing asking friends and family to build the confidence up to then repeat those questions to people who you might feel less confident in engaging with. I'm not sure whether Zoom's going to cut us off or not, but in case it does, I really want to, it's not, Sonia's not shaking her head, but I am conscious that people may well have other commitments that they need to go to, or they may need to go to bed, depending on which parts of the world you're in. So I want to just repeat a message that Sonia's popped in the chat there, to say that the recording and the slides will be shared with everybody, and we are There are note takers sitting in the background, thanks to SOS UK. Dina and I are keeping copious notes. So there's a lot of collecting of all the thoughts that are coming through in the chat, in the presentations, in the Q&A. So please be assured that wherever you have made your thoughts known, that they have been captured, and we will be pulling those together into an informal magazine or zine. Again, that was a sort of an idea that cropped up during conversations about this event. How do we capture and share it with a wider audience, all of the things that are coming through during this 3-day event? So I am going to draw the proceedings to a close, because I don't want people to feel they are going to miss out if they have other commitments on. Thank you to everybody involved with today's students. Absolutely well done. Fantastic range of presentations, highly professional. And those of you who've kind of faced your fears by signing up to this, well done. You've done it. Feeling proud of what you've done, looking back and saying, I did that, as somebody mentioned, I think it was Molly. So thank you very much to all of you. We very much hope to see all of you tomorrow, where there will be a focus on green skills, green jobs, a session led by SOS UK, Sandrine and I must also note colleagues from the Students' Union at UWE who are here, Rachel Colley and Rosa, who are sitting in the background somewhere, also taking notes, and have been a huge part in preparing for this event as well. So thanks to everyone. Have a lovely morning, afternoon, evening, and we hope to see you very much tomorrow.
Thank you. Bye.
Thanks, everyone.